everyone. You already had a chance to meet me and my USB skills. So my name is Slaven. I'm a software developer and I work for a full-service digital agency called Degordian. I'm pretty interested in psychology and human behavior also. So when I'm not coding, I'm trying to optimize that development process and try to help others reach their full potential of being a developer. So today I will tell you a story about a force, a dark side of the force, about developers, masters, padawans, and eternal battle of bugs and fixes. So let's begin. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you can see there were guardians, the Jedis. They were keeping the order of the galaxy, of the universe. Their responsibility is to have balance, to keep the balance, and to share the wisdom. And they are the best of the best, the greatest. Everyone wants to be one of them. And on the other part of that universe, we have a developer who wants to become a Jedi. But he can't. Why? Because in order to be a Jedi, you firstly have to be a Padawan. And in order to be a Padawan, you have to have a master. So our developer went on to a quest to find a master. And that's how this story begins. So, first task that he gave himself was to find out what makes the Jedi so special. Why they are so great at what they do. So, in his research, he found out that they are very well organized. Whoops. Sorry. They are very well organized. Tell me, when did you see a Jedi running in a battle, don't know what to do, where to go, don't know how to swing his sword? Well, hopefully never. If you're thinking about Jar Jar Binks, he's not a Jedi. Okay. Well, they have big organizational skills on the Jedi organization level. What does that mean? That means that they know, every individual knows his responsibilities. He knows how to what are the channels to communicate with each other, when the information should be processed to another one and when it shouldn't. So that makes them very, very efficient. They are systematical. That means that they just don't do things as they go. They think about it. They do a little planning, a little analyzing about the problem and on the solution and how that solution should fix that problem. So they're doing a lot of planning. They are performance oriented. Like I said, they are keeping the balance in the universe. Also, that means they're not wasting too much of their energy. And also, that means when they are building applications, their applications are fast, are very responsive, they are not dying, throwing exceptions, etc. Also, they are very adaptive. When you put a Jedi in a new environment, he's not going crazy, going all out, don't know what to do. He stops, he thinks, he evaluates his environment, analyze it, and try to make use of it the most. So he's never lost. I'm sure some of us watched the movie and saw that they always have a plan and a solution when something happens. They know how to abstract. What that means is that when they plan the solution for a problem, that means that if that problem escalates, their solution could still be applicable. So they are not building systems only for single, small, defined purpose. They're trying to see the bigger picture. They are pixel perfect. When a Jedi noticed that some box isn't very well aligned, he fixed it. He never left it there. They are not, excuse me, they don't do compromises. they fix it right there, right then, and they have a big attention to details. Also, a true Jedi never have bugs. Well, that's not really the truth. The true Jedi knows that bugs exist, and they will always appear in everything what they do. What makes them so wise is that they know the bugs will happen, and they can minimize it and optimize it. Okay, so our developer successfully solved his first quest, and that is, what makes the Jedi so great? What are the traits of the true Jedi? Now he wanted to find out how they do it, so he can be one of them also. How can he acquire those skills? So he researched, and what he found out is they have something called the Jedi Code. A Jedi Code is a philosophy. It's the code that everyone sticks to in the elite Jedi Order. It means that every decision they make, every problem they encounter, they check the philosophy of the Jedi Code, and that philosophy helps them to attack the problem in the right way, to think, to plan, to have a great and abstract solution for it. Also, he researched that very important thing in the Jedi Order is the knowledge sharing. And Jedis are very well aware of that. Why? Because you just can't have a full Jedi Order of Masters without sharing the knowledge. You will have a few Masters, and the rest will be just Padawans, not knowing what to do, don't have the experience they need. So the knowledge sharing is very, very, very important thing. And they do it, okay, this kind of ran out. They do it by teaching, by training, by giving feedback. So I will tell you a little personal story about teaching, how I found out what's the impact of it. Well, I'm not sure, is anyone here driving a skateboard? Maybe? No? Okay, I'm the only one. So it's a short story. When I started, the first thing you try to learn is to jump. It's called ollie. And it seems pretty easy. You just have to pull the board with you when you jump, but I can assure you it's not. So it took me about a month to learn how to jump in a place. And it took me 1 more month to learn how to jump while riding. That's 2 months. So fast forward a few years. Me and my friend were skateboarding, and third friend came and said, "Hey guys, can you teach me? I want to learn how to skate too." Awesome, great, come out. He didn't have any previous skateboarding skills. So he stand on the board and start the way everybody does, falling, having a lot of bruises. But we watched what he does and correct him and give him feedback. No, don't put your leg there, shift your weight a little forward, don't lean too much. And in about 3 hours, he learned how to jump. 3 hours. What took me and my friend a month. That's the power of the training and of the feedback. That is a very, very important thing, and the Jedi Order knows that. Our developer successfully finished his second quest, and now he began to research even more. He wanted to know how the Jedi Corps was really created. What was the motivation behind it? So he found out that at the beginning of the creating of the Jedi Order, there was no planning at all. They were just fixing things as they go. They didn't think about it at all. That had a tendency to create really complex systems. Why? Because, well, when there is no plan, you're just going along as you go, fixing, and that's okay for some period of time. But when that problem is part of a bigger picture, then that's really the problem. So that goes along with the second thing, and that's the short-term planning. It's better than no planning, yes, that's true, but still it's a big problem. Why? Because, okay, you are planning, but you're planning to fix or to attack a single problem individually. So let's think about it like creating a piece of a puzzle. You can create one piece of a puzzle that works beautifully by itself. but when you have to connect that piece with all puzzles, then you can have problems. And that's the problem of the short-term planning. One more thing he noticed is the bad habits. So in our developer world, what is the bad habit? The bad habit is not listening to Linus. I hope everybody knows here who Linus is. Well, I will tell you. Linus is this guy that when you're sitting comfortably coding, I don't know, like 70% you finish what you plan to do, a little Linus pop-ups here and says to you, hey guy, you know, you're not doing it right. You should do it this way. And he proposed a really good solution, but somehow you just don't want to listen to this guy. We are already 70% finished. His proposal sounds good, but you need to refactor it, do it all over again. You just find a good excuse not to do it. And I'm sure everybody here can relate to that. We all had that moment. So that's a very, very bad habit. The Jedis are well aware of that habit. And with their Jedi code, they're trying to fix it and make you listen to your friend Linus. Yeah, you know it's wrong, you know the Linus is right, but just you choose to ignore it. Lack of knowledge and lack of experience. Well, that is the real world. You just can't have lots of people who have 10, 20 years of experience. And that's okay. We all been there, we all started somewhere. Jedis also are well aware of that problem. So they are putting a lot of emphasis in the knowledge sharing. And that's how you fix the lack of knowledge. One of the problems is it's really hard to predict possible situations when you're developing something. So in order to fix that, we are doing the training, we are doing the feedback, we are doing the teaching. Yes. And in the end, the lack of testing. So when the Jedi code, when the Jedis form, they didn't have any tests. So when they decide to produce a new line of lightsabers, they put together a group of great experts. They plan it, everything by the Jedi code. They plan it, they make long-term plans, everything was great. They put it in production, they ship it, they send it to the battlefield. And when the Jedi took it out, tried to turn it on, it wasn't working. Why? Well, because the financial department of the Jedis they find out that they can get a little discount on the wires for triggering, but the real reason for the discount was there was a little isolation on the wires, so the wires corroded over time. And nobody could plan that. So without testing, what happened is the Jedis took out the lightsabers, started switching, and nothing was happening. And I'm sure you are very well aware of that situation because I'm sure you had it. Not with the lightsabers, but with some other systems. So our young Padawan, young developer, finally found the master. And first lesson he learned from the master is the Jedi code philosophy. So the philosophy says, first thing that we were talking about is planning. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to do, you just can't go out and do it. You have to stop, think, and plan it, and analyze it. In this phase, you are welcome to research the problem, to think about it over and over again, and to come up with a plan of attack on the problem. That's the first thing the Jedi Order says. The second thing is the consulting. So you can create a great plan, and in your head it could be perfect plan, but it doesn't mean very much because you're not the smarter person in the world. You need to consult your plan. So the second phase of the Jedi philosophy is to, when you have your plan, when you have everything in your head, consult it. Check it out with someone else. Get feedback about your plan. And Then, and just then, the third step is to go into the execution, and maybe in our step into the development. But if you can see, so the third step is the execution. The first step is to plan, the second step is to consult about your plan, and then, and only then, to execute. After that, you need to do the revision. And in the Jedi code, the revision means the training, the true Jedi training. We'll come to that a little later. So after the revision phase is done, the quality assurance phase is done. Because in the revision, we are not really revisioning the code or the work. We are really trying to share the knowledge. That's the point of the revision in this philosophy. And the 5 is the quality assurance, so we want to assure that the quality is at the desired level. And of course, after the quality assurance, there is a testing phase where we don't ship out broken lightsabers. So to put that more in a development perspective, this is, I want to emphasize just the philosophy. So this can be applied to anything, not just to development. Maybe in design, I'm not sure, I didn't try to implement it in the design, but I did in the development. So I'll tell you about implementing this philosophy in the development. So like I said, first phase, planning, just plan, zero coding, no coding at all, no code, don't look at the code, don't look at the legacy, anything, just plan. Think about the problem, try to understand it more, research about it, maybe you will find some new insights about that topic, and then after you've done the planning, you're doing the consulting. So in the implemented philosophy, what we did is we had like 30 minutes for every, so if a developer is starting a new feature, a new project, a new bug fix, first thing is to plan, so he sits down and plan it for about 30 minutes. He plans whatever makes him feel good. I don't know, entity relationship diagram, class diagram, flow diagram, data flow, whatever. What matters the most is that he plans it and that he have the timeline in his head how it's done. After he plans it, the consulting phase is here. So in our case, when a developer finished the planning phase, he turned around to all the team members and said, guys, I'm at the process, I'm at the consulting phase, can I have 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your time? So at that point, person who have a high priority on what they are doing, they will not contribute to the discussion because they have something very important to do. But the rest of the guys pause what they are doing, turn around and start the discussion. And I can assure you this is a very powerful stuff, because at that point you're getting a lot of great questions, a great input, what could go wrong. Questions, how would you tackle this situation, how would you tackle this situation, and you just didn't have that scenario in your head. And that's great, that's perfect, because you're finding problems before you went into the implementation. Also, one of the greatest things is that seniors will really have the chance to shine on this, because they have so vast experience and so much knowledge, and this is a great way for them to expose it to everyone else. To tell them, yeah, I had a similar situation, to tell you something really counterintuitive. Like I was building a quiz, and we were talking about a database, and one senior suggested me that I should do denormalization of the database, because in the past he had a few clients that the first request was just have the scoring system, but later on they decided to have some analytics on it. And the way I planned it didn't cover the analytics part, because it wasn't in the request. But that was a really great insight, and it made me create system even easier. So that was a great thing to prevent before I went into the implementation, and then the request change, etc. So that's the really two big phase. After that is the execution phase, and in the development world that means coding, so we start coding. After we finish some logical whole bug fix request, feature request, whatever, we are doing the code review, that is the revision. And like I said, in this philosophy, the code review is more oriented to knowledge sharing and not for really quality assurance, because that is the next step. I will come back to code review. Check for quality, so you will have one guy that is responsible for, I don't know, it really depends on your situation. So this is the philosophy, you can apply it to your environment the way it suits you. So maybe you will have one guy that is responsible for, I don't know, front-end quality, or for code, or for database, and he will check it and make sure that everything is at the level. And of course, at the end, testing. So we will talk about training, that is the code review, and that is all that knowledge sharing process. So our developer is now a Padawan, he has a master, he's learning now how to train. So this is his training, this is his part. First thing that he learns is everyone is master. And that was really confusing. And that means that if you are a Padawan or a junior, senior will come and revision your code, or you will go and revision senior's code. So we have like both-way communication. And that is also great, because sometimes it really helps the Padawans to see how something is done, and to ask, how did you come to that solution, to try to follow the senior's train of thought. And that is really, really helpful for them. Also, so knowledge sharing, that's the most important thing, and the buzzword for today. We are sharing, not imposing. That means that in this phase, we will not look at the code and say, oh, no, this is not the PSR, we didn't agree on this. No, we are concentrating on knowledge sharing. So what will I do is to check the structure, check the plan for that specific problem, and try to analyze it, and try to teach that guy, if I'm there to teach him, to really think differently. So I'll try to question his decisions and try to get to that first thought that lead him, and then try to expand that his thought and give him the suggestion how it should be made. And I will not just come and say, this is wrong, you have to do it this way, and you do it this way, that's okay. That's not really helping anyone. We want to encourage knowledge sharing. So, guide. And I was just talking about the guiding. So you will try to find that first thought and guide it to the final solution, to guide that other person to figure out on itself how it should be done, and to give him some more insights. Also, I think that's number 4. Pros. So pros means that you have to be patient, you have to have respect, you have to be open, and you have to be specific. It's 4 things, not too much important, but I'll just talk it a little. So, patience. It's not easy to do the code review this way. It could be hard. It could be hard for the person who is doing the code review, and also for the person who is taking the code review. So you have to have patience. You have to be open. Sometimes, and this is a really good thing, if you are, I don't know, senior and have 20 years of experience, you have a way of doing things, because you have that experience, you know how to do it. Sometimes when a new guy comes in, don't have all that experience, he could shed some new light on some different approaches how to do it. And seniors can also benefit a lot from it. So these are the 4 main points of that training, that code review, that is a little different than standard one. And this really helps push the knowledge sharing in the team, in the individual. And also, for me, one of the great things is that seniors really contribute, and you are really, if you're a junior, really getting all that knowledge, all that experience. So you're learning, you're growing even more. One more thing, I don't know if anybody remembers this movie. I'll take that as a no. Huh? Karate Kid. Yes. Sorry. So the movie is Karate Kid, and it's a pretty similar story. It's a young boy who is a prodigy at karate, and he went into the competition and he lost. And he was very frustrated. He wanted to get better, he wanted to get proper training, so he found himself a master. And he was very eager to learn. You know that moment when you just want to soak in all the knowledge, everything? He was just like that. He came to his master and said, "Go on, train me, I want to learn how to fight better, I want to be this guy." And the master said, "Go out and wax my car." And it was really specific order. It wasn't just go out and wax my car, because he came to him and said, "Listen, you have to wax it like this." Very specific. That way or no way. And the little guy said, "Okay, you are my master, I have respect for you, I will do it." And he do it happily, he ran over it. "Master, I'm finished, when we will start training." "Okay, now go out and put that wax off." That doesn't have any sense, but again, he's a respectful guy, he done it. And that story went on for 2 weeks. At the end, the little guy was angry because he came there to learn. He came to a true master who can teach him how to be great. And he was very frustrated. And he said all that to a master, and master did something very specifically. And that is, I'm not sure how it's called, and I'm not prodigy at karate, but master done this on the kid, on the student. And student just instinctively done this. So he defended himself. And this was the move that he was learning for 2 weeks. And at that moment, he found out that he was training. He was training for 2 weeks how to defend and how to get a great basis of karate. So the point of this story is sometimes you will not realize the ways that your leaders, that your masters are taking you. Sometimes it will be counterintuitive, but I don't know, like in the 90% of the cases, it's really with a great cause. It's really to help you share and gather knowledge. So, in the end, how to have Jedi Order full of masters? Well, the first and the most important thing is to follow the Jedi Code. If you don't follow it, you don't have the structure, you don't have that consistency. And that is the problem. That is really what breaks everything down. So you have to respect that code that you apply to your environment. Ask for feedback. Sometimes your leaders, your masters don't have all the time in the world. And sometimes, yes, there are people they forget. If you are junior or if you are senior or anything, if you think that you should get feedback, you should ask for it, because then you really need it. You want to get feedback on what you are doing, how are you doing it, and how you should do it better. And that must be a great guidance to tell you, now I must get some feedback, and you must search it. Expand your training. So we were talking about the revision and the training that is really the code review. Try to expand it. Any way is possible. One thought that I had is, like, if you have 2 departments, one is doing the C#, another is doing the, Android, mix them together to do the code review. Because sometimes the Android guys will have a different perspective on things because the language is a little different. And they could mutually help each other. Like I said, this is the point where we're sharing knowledge, not really doing the quality assurance. System is self-sustainable. It is if you are respecting the point number 1, if you follow the Jedi Code. If you do that, everything is just going in the circle. You are doing the planning, you're doing the consulting, you're doing the revisioning, everybody is listening, everybody knows what's supposed to be done. And that is really, really important thing. And for the end, I'm not sure how long I've been doing this. And for the end, I will tell you one more story. And that is, I watched one TED video that was talking about goals. So we are setting some goals for ourselves. But when we reach that goal, and when we look back, the thing that we enjoyed the most was the process of going to that goal. So I want to apply that here also. Try to enjoy all that process. Try to enjoy the discussion phase. Try to enjoy the knowledge sharing, the gathering of knowledge, the sharing of knowledge. And on the end, be a master, because with following this, I'm sure that you will really, really fast become one of them. And that's it. May the force be with you. This is the join in link, so you can review my talk, and Luke, I will say maybe more about it. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer it. Sure. What? Yes. Yes. I was talking about really the implementation that we did. So we are doing it not entirely. We are still finding we are optimizing, like we were doing the discussion phase, and that had a tendency to prolong a really, really long. Because sometimes everybody hooks up on something and discussion really, really flows. So we had to impose a time period of 30 minutes for discussion. And also for doing the code review, we decided to be on the individual level. So if you like developer finish something, you also should be asking the code review. But that's just didn't work out the way that we thought. So we are trying to optimize that also.
I'm just asking because I see that the point of code review is before the test. And I'm not sure how
the code review in this philosophy is not the code review by itself, it's the knowledge sharing. So the code review, the standard code review, you could implement it any way around, or in the phase that you think that you should be implemented it. But this is not the code review, it just, maybe I should come up with a better word, but it's the point where we share knowledge. So it's a point where we are talking about the problem and finding a better solution to it. The most important thing is to speed up the process of getting that experience and getting that knowledge. And that is actually the most important thing. We are not talking about the old school code review here. That answer the question? Okay, great. Sure.
What name is that?
Luke, I'm your father.
No,
Oh, sorry, Ted. I really don't remember it. Sorry. I guess that's it.